pouring in my cup. In the session, real loud, good gas, yeah, you know we about to roll it up. Bring the bottles to the section, big tap, go ahead and just live it up. Get lit one night, after that, we can go ahead.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Ikon. And we on 95 South podcast. You know, first and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity to be able to come on here, to have this great platform, to be able to interview great people. So secondly, I want to introduce my man, you know what I'm saying, Mr. Panty Dropper, Mr. Midnight Love's voice himself, Mr. Personality,
boy.
Sure, I have to call him Scottie Pippen, a.k.a. Draymond Green, because he get it all done with attitude.
What's happening, man?
Great, brother.
What's happening, man? Jacob the Great, King Jacob here, man. Just glad to be in the land of living, man. Blessed by the best, man. What more can I say? When we're on this side of the dirt, that means that the blessings are flowing repeatedly and abundantly. So, man, welcome to the 95 South podcast, man, where we interview, the people with the incredible backstories that keep inspiring us from afar and from near. So, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Sir. Yes, sir. So go ahead and introduce this man, and so we can get this thing cracking.
So tonight we have another star-studded episode with a special invited guest, Mr. Charles D. Clark. Actor, youth mentor, man of God, most importantly. So I'll go ahead and let him tell you a little bit about himself, and then we'll get into his backstory. Mr. Clark, you do have the floor.
Well, first of all, God gets the glory, gets the honor first. Thank y'all for having me on such a wonderful and phenomenal podcast. My name is Charles D. Clark. I am a professional psychiatric actor, transformational speaker, mentor, advocate. And I'm just the guy next door who's trying to, inspire the world one day at a time, one person at a time. So I'm happy to be here.
Okay. So, man, how did all this happen, man? What is your backstory and what inspired you to keep going?
Well, I come from the testimony of my father died when I was 5, going on 6. So I grew up out of my dad. My mom did best she could, but ultimately it led me to the streets. And I was a good enforcer, amongst other things in the streets. That thank God he's a forgiving God. And for that matter, I ended up doing almost 8 years in prison. What got me into acting, it was something that I thought of or even had a notion to become. It was actually my grandmother. My grandmother didn't visit me the whole time I was in prison until the end, like towards the end of my bid. She had a surprise visit. She was brought up there by my Aunt Kay and my Uncle Bubba, Joe Clark, whom I love. And I remember when I saw my grandma and my aunt and uncle going across the visitation sidewalk to the visiting room, I was so happy because I haven't seen her in my entire bed. And as I was going in there to the visiting room, my aunt had stopped me. As excited I was to see my grandma and them as well. She said that she said, this is the exact word. She said, your grandmother is dying. She has dementia. She has several tumors on her brain. And just told me the word, whatever she was thinking, I have to basically go along with it. Because if I try to make a thing anything else what she was thinking, it will put a strain on her condition. So imagine me for 2.5 hours. My grandmother thought I was my dad most of the time. She would bring up things in the past that my dad used to do for her. And I remember those things. So I act like I was my dad. And I remember when she left, the CO, called me up to the desk. And we all know in the visiting room, they always do a surprise pat down, make sure you get no contraband, et cetera, et cetera. He pulled me over there to tell me, says, Charles, what I just witnessed was an Oscar moment. For you to sacrifice that moment for your grandmother, her condition, he said, I don't know what you plan on doing when you get out of here, but you might want to be an actor. Even though that was real what you did in some form, he said that was like watching a movie. at that time, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about my grandmother. The fact that she didn't remember, she didn't remember me. She thought it was my dad. Fast forward, I got out of prison February 18, 2009. And I landed my first role, small role in an independent film with New Ways Productions. Shout out to Brian Nesbitt. And I knew then when I first got on set that this is what I was supposed to be. And I realized that my grandmother, when people ask me, say, "Do you remember your first audition?" I said, "Yeah, I do." My grandmother gave me my first audition. She sacrificed her last moment to show me that this is what I was supposed to be doing. So acting for me was never to become famous, to become a celebrity. Acting was never for me to be like, "Look at me, I'm Charles D. Clark." It was simply paying homage to my grandmother, who we shared a very powerful moment to show me what I'm supposed to do. And that's why I take the arts seriously. And that's why I use the arts not to inspire people in the world, but also be part of the transformation of the culture for guys who are on their way to prison or coming out of prison. Let them know that second chance do exist.
Interesting, man. Remarkable. So your first acting gig was phenomenal, and you knew you belong on set. So you've been in a lot of films. If you can tell me, man, like acting school and taking tutorials and taking Zoom classes, about acting and things of that nature, man. And how was that for you when you really first got into it, doing your acting classes?
I would say this in respect to the question. A lot of people say they was born to act, they have a gift. To be honest, some people got the gifts, some people don't. Some people just want to be an actor just for whoever, like the reason I just named. Famous, celebrity, attention, money, whatever. I knew I had a gift. Never said that I was the best actor in the world. I'm gonna be the next Denzel. I'm gonna be the next Charles D. Clark. When I thought I knew enough and got to those acting classes, and learning how to prepare for scene study, character breakdowns, how to properly slate an audition, and learning all these different techniques to get into character, I realized that I didn't know nothing. Because you can have a gift and do not know how to operate that gift. So training and acting from workshops, from looking at other cinematic pieces, from Zoom tutorials, or going to school, all those prepare you to hone your gift if you have that gift. Acting is one of the most hardest, most difficult, and complex journeys, because when you get certain roles, it can take you to a dark place. It can take you to a happy place, to where if your real life is dark and that role makes you happy, try not to go back to the reality. Vice versa, it can be a mental strain. And then me, I play a lot of bad guys, of course. So I can pull from it from my experience, from things that I've been around and seen. But ultimately, the great side of acting is that, and I think we learned that during the pandemic, when everybody was shut into their homes for the most part, it was the movies, the TVs, the TV shows, they kept people going. They kept families knitted for the most part. And I think the responsibility as an actor and the accountability is that all those entertainment, some way, form, or fashion, pay it forward. I've never looked at myself as being a celebrity or upcoming rising star. I'm a country boy. I'm a regular guy who have a gift that God has given me, not just from the acting perspective, share my testimony. And I really believe that when God came to me, acting was the passenger or to the driver of the vehicle, which is my testimony, to share to the people in the world, because we know in the entertainment industry, that's the biggest platform. And there's so many people out there who I've touched, who have inboxed me, especially I was on Empire. Even in Chicago, gangbangers and other people and even drug addicts who I prayed with and bought food for over there. And it's, that stuff giving back, it makes me feel real good as a person. I think to me, when you can change somebody's life and empower somebody, especially our youth, to me that's bigger than an Oscar and Emmy. Because those are the type of things that God take in consideration. Oscar and Emmys, yeah, of course I want those, but what do I take back with me when God called me home? What can I leave when He do call me home? And it's that impact. So
Okay. Ikon, go ahead and jump in, man.
So, being that you got into acting, your grandmother, when you chose, is that in your back of your mind about choosing roles that be embarrassing towards your family or won't be looked upon a certain way? Does that go into your mindset when you choose to take a role?
yes, there's a thin line with that, with the conviction and integrity of me as a person, um, somewhat of my family. Uh, like for instance, I would never do anything sexual in a movie. Right? That's just not my thing. I wouldn't do no rape scenes. I was offered actually a true crime show a while back, a nice pay rate, and I looked just like the guy, the real guy, looked just like him. And he raped a woman, molested a kid with true crime story. Somebody had to do it, but I turned it down. The reason why is because there's a power in the word of saying no. Your first couple of major roles, as the great Sidney Poitier stated, and he told Denzel, will determine your career. Um, so, of course, yeah, I do action roles and, the detective roles and the next door guy roles or faith-based films. But you're right, brother. There are certain roles that I will not do. I got a 12-year-old daughter who's 13 years old. I don't want her to go across the screen and see me do something that's totally just like way out. And with me as an actor, you have that choice. You have that right. Some people say, "Hey, it's a payday." To me, it's more than a payday. It's an attachment to your journey. So yeah, I'm very careful, and I use the word no a lot, no matter how big the money is.
Okay. So, as far as like you said, you spent was it 8 years? You said 8 years in prison.
7 years and 6 months. Yes, sir. Close to 8 years.
Yeah. So basically, have you done like going back speaking in prisons and speaking engagements to talk to the people back in the prisons yet?
Now, I've never been to a prison before to go. I mean, went back, and that's something I'm planning to do between this year and the beginning of next year. I will say right before I got upgraded on Empire and a little bit afterwards, I was doing a lot of speaking engagements, different organizations, people, ex-felon programs, reentry programs. I did plenty of those. And then after Empire, and then I started taking more training with acting, I kind of put that on the back burner. But what I still do is inspire people using social media, which we know that's the biggest platform right now. Or here and there when I have a chance, like an award show, a red carpet event, and they ask me to speak, I throw some jewels out there to inspire and bless those that need it. As the Bible says, obedience is better than sacrifice. But that's one of my true passions, speaking. I got several awards for speaking. And I remember people saying, Charles, are you a motivational speaker or what do you consider yourself? That you have a different way of speaking to people. It's raw and it's real. And I said, I'm a transformational speaker. The reason why is because what I say, I pray that it transform you to become the better you. Motivation is temporary, like a Band-Aid. I'm here to do surgery on people. I want to heal them. Not me healing them. God's the only person who does that, but bring them to him closer in whatever format or fashion I can through the art. So, yeah.
Okay. So for a man like yourself, when you first got into the business, what was the biggest like culture shock? What was the thing that you had to adjust to? Because the industry can be very, very wild, crazy. People would probably don't imagine the things you probably seen and been through. So what's the thing you had to quickly adjust to so you wouldn't go back to that prison mindset and do something crazy to somebody?
The simplest I can tell you is listen to God. And I know it sounds kind of cliche, what you mean listen to God. And I'm just for the public out there, the people that's listening. God always talks to you. He always communicates with you. When I learned and mastered how to shut the noise of the world out and listen to him, he showed me. And that's how I was in the street, you know, except I was listening to the wrong, it's only one God, but I listened to the wrong people, the wrong thing. Because Hollywood is a different type of monster. A lot of people sell their souls to get to the top. I've had that pre-offer preliminary conversation, people that deal with the Illuminati, or those and other secret societies that's attached or an umbrella of that. And the things I've seen thus far, and the conversation I've heard, the devil is loving Hollywood. That's all I can say. He's loving it. And I learned that do your job, go home. Do your job, go home. Yeah, you got to do your PR, the red carpet stuff. Okay, great. After parties, I'm not saying to enjoy yourself, but especially when you're from the streets. And a lot of people just super green. They see all this glitz and glamour and, the spotlight and the sparkles. And a lot of people haven't been around that, just like dealing with Empire. I mean, Empire had all the legends in one setting. Taraji, Terrence, Felicia Rashad. Come on, that's our black mother. Forrest Whitaker, Alicia Keys, Snoop Dogg, all these people. And a lot of people, and it's the truth, are not going to, in their lifetime, not going to meet another one of those people. Don't want to see them on TV. So I've been blessed to be around that caliber of people in the arts. But then you have a lot of other people out there that it's like, whoa, that's how you get to the top. That's how so I just stay clean, man. I stay clean. I don't do the partying and the groupies. I don't do any of that stuff. By the time I finished on set or finished doing my, whatever I'm doing, in the filming world, I want to get home and see my daughter or talk to my mom.
Before I get to Jacob, that's what I was going to ask you. Being on such a huge, probably monster of a show like Empire, how did your life change from being on that and then being on the set of such a huge production? What you expected, or was it more than what you expected?
Way more plus some. One of the things that inspired people, upcoming actors, that I was already doing independent films. When you're an actor, you act. You don't always have to be on the biggest platform. You have to work your way up unless you're born into the industry. So I put in 14 years, But right before Empire, I've already had several credits. Nothing bigger than Empire. And when I first got on Empire, I was just an extra. And I drove the Empire 8 times in Chicago, which is 13 hours from me. I drove 8 times in a month and 2 weeks. Never got seen. One time it was a little glimpse, but you can really see unless I told you where I was at. And I'm glad I didn't get seen, for continuity. And when I got upgraded, I remember that same week, I got my SAG eligibility to become a SAG-AFTRA member. As we know, that's the professional level as an actor. And I remember when I went to Empire after being upgraded, I was going to the extra side, and they was calling me on the walkie-talkie, trying to find where I was at. I used to go into the other side. I used to dream about going to the other side, and people know what I mean when you go on set. The other side is like where the stars at. You don't ride in the white carpet-looking vans. You ride in those nice, sleek, black Mercedes cabs. The conversations are different. The respect level goes up. But you have to be humble. You can't forget where you come from. And working even more closely with Terrence Taraji, and especially the guy who played my boss, the West Side Ikon exhibit. Learning so much from him. The long hours on set, learning about hip-hop culture. Listening to Terrence and Taraji formulating their lines and the context of it, and watching Forrest and Felicia and KD. I mean, it was overwhelming in a great way. And some of my best training came from being on there behind the scenes, the things that people don't get to see. So I'm very blessed. And to this day, I've done a lot of great things, no matter how small the role is. For them to even think about me being on there, on any show platform. It's a blessing. But I can honestly tell you, Empire will probably be forever the most memorable show that I've been on because of the layers of people that was on there and what I've learned.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jacob.
So with you being on Empire, man, how did it change the way the agencies look at you as far as contacting you about other, potential acting gigs? And how did it change the way film directors look at you as an actor?
And then at the attention of it, the respect level, you don't have to wait so long to get an audition. You don't have to wait so long to get seen for, a table read. I mean, it has its. Of course, it has its, its bonuses. Some people, honestly, would be like, okay, you're on the field, you just get started. What you gonna do after Empire? And I think that's one of the most important things. I kept the momentum going. Empire was the launch pad, but the respect level went up tremendously. I mean, I just put up on social media not too long ago that I've gotten a lot of great independent film roles because of Empire. I didn't even have to audition for it. They simply for the bad guy roles or the dramatic roles because of that. And honestly, I only had like one line on Empire. I was heavily featured. I only had one line, but because of the placement, because of who I with, and the records that we broke, and they know that Empire was one of the hardest shows to get on. Like if you go on that show, that means that they see the potential in you. So even with radio shows, I remember before I did Empire, I was trying to do radio shows, to spread my testimony, and they would tell me, talk to my assistants. Oh, we're overbooked. Oh, well, for $150 or $200, we can give you 5 or 10 minutes. And I'm just like, I'm trying to share my testimony to save people's lives, to save that person from robbing your house or robbing you and showing them there's a better way. And not even a week after I got upgraded on Empire, when they saw me come in with Exhibit as this new goon and main goon, one of the main goons, those same people was blowing my phone up. Filmmakers, when I was trying to, get some, even when it was none, they wasn't even paying a lot, little to none. I needed a reel, I need to show people that, I got some kind of skill set. Nah, you're not ready, whatever. Soon I did Empire. Mr. Clark, we have a co-star, Mr. Clark, we want for you to, and it's like, wow, really? So that's one of the reasons why I respect Brother Jacob and also you, sir, because, of course, versus same fellows flock together. It's not so much about my acting career. When Brother Jacob first came to me with more of my testimony. And when I saw that, I knew that it wasn't because of some kind of, I call it connecting the dots in Hollywood. He really wanted me to serve my purpose. And that's very rare. So, before we go any further, I want to thank y'all too for allowing me to do just that. That's very important.
Right. For sure. And I remember I seen somebody share a post from you. Tiffany Gaines, that's who it was.
My manager.
Right. And
yep.
I said, oh, okay. I said, and you shared a post, and what you hashtag God gets all the glory
all the time.
I said, interesting.
All the time.
I said, let me reach out to him and see if we can have a conversation. Because it starts off with a conversation, and did and it actually started off about a conversation how God has tremendously blessed both our lives. Yeah, and when even about your acting first, and then we got into you as an actor, as a youth mentor, as a transformational speaker, and you told me why you love speaking and how the art of acting is going to impact the youth of tomorrow, and you want them to see that the impossible is very possible because you are a living testimony about that. And so, I definitely appreciate that connection. So with you being behind that wall, man, and as we see a lot of young men are constantly going behind the wall, going to prison. And with you having experienced some of the things that you experienced in life, and with you being a transformational speaker, how do you want to change the narrative on how the younger generation thinks through you speaking to them?
There was something I said in my speaking engagement one day where there was a lot of youth there. And I said, you don't have to go to prison. I already did the time for you. It's sort of like saying, like, there's a jungle and God put me in the jungle and he brought me out to tell the people why not to go. Because everybody else is surviving in the jungle. And with me impacting someone and giving them a different light, a different way of thinking than traditionally what they're taught. In life, you're taught if you don't do things by a certain age, you're a failure. If you stay in a certain demographic with the ghetto, the hood, you always be just that. If you grew up on a mom or dad or both, you would never grow to be a great dad or a great mother. And when I prove all of that wrong for myself and people around me, I have a daughter, Sinead Clark, 13 years, must be 13, my everything. I got out of prison February 18, 2009. She was born in 2010. Like, I became a dad real fast. Honor roll student, top 3 of the STEM program, got recognized by the Virginia delegate for her studies, high recognized studies. And I said to say this is that, look where I came from. I was a gangbanger. I was a goon enforcer. I got things I'm gonna take to my grave. And so it's important to me. It's mandatory for me to express the wisdom and knowledge that I've gained to people through the art, through my transformational speaking. Because God told me, and I never forget this, I heard God's voice, I'm not giving you a second chance to mess around. I'm giving you a second chance to clean up the mess around you.
That's what's so interesting about when you're talking about your daughter. And this is something that I like to talk about with parents all the time.
Yeah.
If you have a child that can be in the top 5 of her class in the STEM program, science, technology, economics, mathematics.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That STEM program puts the child on a whole different level when they get ready to prepare for college.
Right now, she's in the process, and it's not all the way yet, but right now she's in the process of being accepted in the gifted program for the art. She is a very talented artist, and she's in drama class because she wants to be an actress as well. So yes, brother, you're right. And, it's kind of emotional in a way because I wish my dad was here to see the things that I'm doing. I know he's here spiritually. When I look at my daughter, and y'all brothers, we straight up, we raw, we real with it. And I know y'all can understand where I'm coming from when I say this. Between God and my daughter is the reason why I've never went back. People might think, because you were acting. No. There's times where I didn't care about acting. There was situations where the devil had tested me in my 14 years since I've been out of prison. A lot of people owe my daughter. They owe God first, they owe my daughter. She was my safe haven. She actually protected me from going back to where I used to be. And I was saying on y'all wonderful platform, upon the masses, I am a saved man, an imperfect saved man. And I would do anything for anybody. When it comes to my baby, and I think any father should feel that way. Whether you don't have to be an ex-gay or ex-felon as a man. The only way I would go back to how I used to be as far as that nightmare if anybody mess with my daughter. That's a no, that's not even a conversation. And that's why it's important for me to teach her. I told my daughter the other day, I said, Sinead, if you want me in your life, I'm teaching you to do things that would not jeopardize me from being removed from your life. And I think it's part of being a parent and being an influencer. for someone to be in your life, you have to create that opening of understanding. And
Right.
that's why I tell people like with you and brother right here, you know, y'all podcast, y'all platform is saving so many souls because you give people like me a voice to inspire. And I think that's one of the most noble things you can do. So
We appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. I'll come back to you.
Yeah, that's humbling for you to say that, or whatever. So, I mean, we strive to have a voice for the community, but you know, we try not to take too much credit. But I appreciate you saying that. But and I do want to ask you something before I want to get back to the acting part when it comes to the whole street life and
yes.
because like right now, and especially in the music industry, it's so big. This whole snitching thing is such a big
Oh man.
conversation.
Yeah.
I think we our culture gets so caught up on it, and they don't understand like people like yourself who get locked up and you know basically I hate just to say tricked off the streets basically just to keep it 100
It is
and
100.
then you're away from your family, but people forget about that part and they figure about what it does to the kids and how it affects the kids' life because they want to leave this keeping it real culture and keeping it, you know what I mean? But they don't realize when you away from your kids for 10, 15, 20 years, how it affects their life. And then a lot of time we got a lot of these young brothers and sisters who have mental issues and lost. And part of it comes from the father not being there. So can you speak on that part of the whole, that whole life?
Yes, generational curse. It happens every day. Generational curse. There's a particular movie that they can explain what I'm about to say. And I'm sure y'all seen this movie 1,000 times. It's a legendary movie. The Bronx Tale.
Right.
Sonny didn't get killed by his adversary. Sonny didn't get killed by his haters in the streets. That man that he killed, his son was a child then. He grew up to be a man. What did he do? He came back and what? Killed Sonny, avenging his dad's death. I'm using that example because people understand that no stone goes unturned. As a father, as a mother, there are things in life that's guaranteed. No matter if you learn from a happy home or a Christian home, no matter if you learn from the street, one thing is guaranteed by humanistic nature, by the evolution of a human being from birth to adulthood, you're going to learn from somewhere. And brothers like us who are striving to intercept those derailments, those entrapments from people who is poisoning our kids to become the next criminals, the next murderers, the next bad, and that's the thing about prison. These guys out in prison, I'm going to exclude me for a second. I'm talking about other brothers that I've met. They were stone cold killers, man, and big time criminals. But they were some of the smartest, brightest people you ever would meet. And I understood their assignment then. The devil only attacked the people that's a threat to his plan. Not being right. If you admit to open, he don't want you because you're nothing to him. You're a pawn. He wants the people that can gravitate others from him. So when you look at like, how this person that did all this stuff in the street is so smart. They're good with numbers. They're good with multitasking, with analyzing all your things. Because you got to think about it. When you're in the streets, whether you're a good enforcer, whether you're a drug dealer, hustler, whatever, you have to make sure the money is right. You got to make sure your people's paid. You got to make sure the drop off is the right location. You got to make sure that this person ain't sitting on you. Make sure the famous. There's so many things you have to do, and we know in the streets you don't get fired or demoted. You get your head blown off. So when you come from that background, and now you've changed, it's a responsibility to show people that I can teach you things, but it's not so much from the street life. It's teaching you things so you have to go to the street life. We are all father figures in some kind of way. A lot of people say, well, I don't have no kids. If you go to a child and tell them something that will and what you told them impacted their thought to put that gun down, to put those drugs down, to stop selling, to not commit suicide. It's something that you told them, tweaked, and was the tipping point to do something right. That's a father figure. So I tell people all the time, especially brothers like us who've been there and done that, it's super important, super crucial to give something to someone, whether it's the youth, the homeless person, the person who came out of prison, give them something that they can share with the world. So
appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Salute,
Yeah.
salute.
So, well, I got another question. So, get back to the acting part, because you come off, your spirit comes off as like a gentle giant. So, the roles you play, what's like your favorite role to play, and what role have you played that's mostly like you?
Woo! Definitely Empire, because I was a good force for exhibit. Definitely that. Volkov Origin by Listen Productions. Shout out to my brother, my mentor, George Devil, his wife, Candace, and the whole Listen Productions family. Now, Brutus was a diabolical killer. He was, very strategic, slightly charming as the character portrays itself. And he was the right-hand man to Volkov. The reason why I can relate to it is because of the politics of being a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all understand what I mean when I say the politics of being a criminal. There's certain places or certain levels in that world that you have to learn and learn very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, well, you already know the food chain, right? Either you're a goldfish or you're a shark.
Right.
So anytime to play diabolical characters like Brutus, or when I played on Empire, all the way to playing detective. One of the producers asked me on a true crime show, Charles, how do you play the detective so well? I was like, I was a criminal. You know how many times a detective tried to take me out? I've been in those rooms. I was a criminal. So it's nothing new to me. So I just put those experiences or whatever. And I think every role I've played have something to do with my testimony. Whether it was I played a pastor one time. I played I done did different types of stuff, and I got stuff that ain't even came out yet that I'm working on. But definitely all my bad boy roles came from stuff I pulled from some of the things in my past. Sometimes I don't want to, but you have to go there. Again, get with the character, realistic. But yeah, I'm a gentle giant, man.
Well, I have one more question. I get back to you, Jacob. So have you played? Would it be a biopic or a certain dream role you would want to play in the near future, or have you already played that role?
No, I would love to play. Oh, you know what? It might sound kind of, well, I don't say sound kind of crazy. I always want to play a role in a movie with Martin Luther King. I know there's several movies out there with him. That man, we already know. We ain't even got to go through a long summary. How he impacted the culture to the civil rights and everything else. I want to be a part of something like that. Somebody that back when, people who have changed the culture, and especially for us as people. So anything dealing with that. I want somebody to look at me on TV or in a movie, whether it's a biopic or non-biopic, and say, you know what? Because that role Charles played, I will become a better person. So I don't think it's not one or two or specific per se. Just something that someone can say, you know what? I'm going to do better because I watched that movie. So.
I understand. I understand. Yeah. I was, as I
was waiting for it to come on. Brother,
I want to see you playing the Suge Knight for you.
Man, you took the words right out of my mouth. There you
know,
go.
there is a script right there being developed about Suge Knight. There's two different projects. There's the Vanilla Ice biopic, which of course Suge Knight is a big part of that. I've talked to some of the writers. I've promoted myself with the hashtags. Obviously, I got to put on back 80 pounds. I dropped 80 pounds since then. I'm training for an action role. But even in Suge's younger days, you know what I mean? Suge was Cock Diesel, you know what I mean? He was supposed to be working with. So, but yeah, I'm 265 now. Now, the size I was on Empire I was like 325, like a powerlifter type. I just leaned out a whole lot. But yeah, I always said that if I do play Suge Knight, they have to play me a pretty penny because I work my butt off getting these 80 pounds off. So they better come with something or put on a thick suit or something. But I really believe I can pull it off. Everybody say that I've natural mannerisms. We talk similar in a way. They laugh. I'm ready. So,
Yeah, I most definitely think you can play Marion Suge Knight. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this live on the podcast. If that shall come to intuition and be manifested, y'all get the first interview from that movie.
My man.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up. So, man,
it's gonna happen. I mean, as far as the movie, this is a part of it. So, yeah,
it's gonna happen. So,
yeah,
man, you came a long way from where you were.
Yes, sir.
And you stood on top of it. You claimed your success. You claimed your faith. You tell everybody that that God saved your life.
Oh yeah.
And you let people know your mission is to save lives. So if you were going to start a nonprofit, what type of nonprofit would it be, and how would you want your organization to impact generations for years and years to come?
Well, we already know that anything that you do in this life starts from your heart, transfer to the mind, and projected through your reactions or your deliveries as a human being. My nonprofit wouldn't have no specific limitations. My nonprofit will be adaptive to any situation because everybody's life is different. It's like going to a place to get your brain operated on, but the only thing operated on is a leg or an arm. What do? Right? So I believe that whatever nonprofit organization that I would have, God would have it to where it would have no limitations. Because there's people in this world who are dealing with spiritual warfare. People in this world that, who just have lack of hope and faith. And I think before you can even get some kind of 10-step bullet plan and I'm not knocking John Maxwell, so let me do a disclaimer. I'm just saying, you got people out there who are dealing with some real issues, and they don't have time for no, plan A, plan B, and believe in yourself. Say yes, you can. Yes, you can do it. Life don't happen that way. So when I talk to people, it's because I've been there and done that. I've seen people here get blown in front of my face. I've been involved in a lot of things. I've seen people kill themselves. I've seen all of that. So when I go to a person talking about suicide, which I was a behavioral specialist, suicide counselor amongst me becoming a full-time actor, they always say, how do you know? How do you understand? When I tell them my experiences, for the most part, they listen because they know that I'm not talking from the textbook. I'm talking from experience. So I think I can sum it up saying that my nonprofit will be based on experience, not on textbook.
Okay. And then, so my last question before we get out of here, man, is character mode can be something serious. Sometimes I hear actors say it's hard to get out of character mode. And I heard Leonardo DiCaprio say character mode can cause you to have emotional issues, cause you have emotional breakdown, and it can cause you to battle with mental health, especially if you're already going through something and you have to go into this character mode, like that dark place you named. And he said some actors have to take a year or two off to really get their mental health back right again, and to get their emotional capacity back right. And so he said you have to adapt to what we call spiritual awakening to get yourself all the way back right before you enter the film industry again. And
Yeah,
so, what are your thoughts on that?
it's true. It's true. I think having a therapist or having a close knit circle is very valuable as an actor, and which they call that method acting. I have an example. Make a long story short. When we did Ball Call, the pilot, and I first did the role of Brutus. Brutus was a diabolical, no conscience, no nonsense person, biker type, drunk, whiskey. He had a cold, cold heart. And I remember for 30 days before filming, not about 45 days, a little bit more than 30 days, I was growing my beard out, and it was cold during the time as well. I drink tequila here and there. I'm not really a big drinker, but if I do, it's tequila. I can't stand whiskey. I can't stand cigars. But those 30 to 45 days, I drank some whiskey, look in the mirror, turn my lights in my bathroom and my room red. I wanted to see that. I wanted to see that pain, that fury that Brutus had. I remember 2 o'clock in the morning, I had drunk about 3 or 4 glasses of whiskey. And this is my first time even sharing this in depth. So this is a great thing for you, to share. I went out of my place, and there's a lot of woods in the back of my place, where I used to live at, and it was snowing as well. And I walked in a tank top, sweatpants, and boots, and my movie set hat, all the way in the woods with a bottle of whiskey. It had to be about at least 21 degrees, 22. And I was shivering. I felt that cold, but I was drinking that whiskey. But my point being is because I wanted to feel what that character was feeling. If he was cold-hearted, he had ice going through his veins, I wanted to feel that. If he was a whiskey drinker, I hate whiskey. But for the character, I had to understand why. Was the his choice. The cigar. I had to develop a certain hate for myself. For you to have that type of emotion, you have to hate yourself real bad. Because you only can give what you project to yourself. If you love yourself, you're going to project love. If you hate yourself, you project hate. So that's once I got that character, I didn't see my daughter for almost a week and a half. I didn't want to see me like that. People in my stuff I called and talked to, they prayed with me. I had a lot of conviction. When you do this acting stuff for real, not just pity pat or as a hobby on the side, when you do it for real, it can get, especially when you lose a loved one in the midst of filming. There's several times where I'm in character, and my character, I'm supposed to be a madman or sad and hurt. And in an unorthodox way, God helped me with that, in the sadness. So, it's true. It's facts, man. It's facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know more about that, man. And because I hear a lot of them. I heard Tom Hanks say it. I even heard Denzel and Samuel Jackson say it, and Sylvester Stallone had said he suffered with that a lot, man. Especially when he was doing them Cobra episodes back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He said he suffered with that a lot. So, man, it takes that method actor, actress. It really takes a lot, man. But man, I just want to appreciate you for coming on, man. The 95 South podcast, man, and bro, you're always welcome here, man. But before you cut out, man, just tell everybody where they can follow you and tell us about some of the up and coming projects that you might have.
Yeah, so quite simple. On Instagram, it is Charles D. Clark without the E, 1980. Facebook, Charles D. Clark. On Twitter, it is C. Clark Inspired, the number 7, CCLARKINSPIRE, the number 7. Some of the things I've coming out with Vocal Order just came out. It's on all streaming platforms mostly. I have with Dark 48, We the People, Austin. There's 2 more, but I can't say it publicly because NDA. So yeah, that's what's coming out right now. And I got another 3 auditions that I'm waiting on, and 2 of them is a very well-known television series. So yeah, I just keep going, keep practicing, and trying to be better as an actor. And again, I want to shout out to Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors. I was following the Jonathan Majors before he even became on the main line. We have to give our brother his flowers, man. He's representing the culture as well, Michael B. Jordan and all the other brothers out there, and also as well as y'all too as well. So yeah,
no doubt. Ikon.
Yeah, because I think about Michael B. Jordan. I feel like a dad or something when it comes to him, because I've been watching him since The Wire. So to see him go from where he was to where he is now, it's amazing to see the growth of watching man get to where he is. So yeah, definitely I respect it. I respect the heck out of his hustle, his grind, and his growth. But I do want to say this to you, and I'm gonna say this for the first time with my brother too here. I plan on doing we plan on doing a Father's Day special show the week of Father's Day. I want to get yourself and maybe about 4 or 5 other brothers on that's positive, that take care of their kids, because I think the one thing that's missing is real dads don't get the credit we deserve, or whatever. And I think just to have a round to show men that's positive, that's taking care of their kids, I think that we need to see that on a platform like this, and us coming together and talking about our issues and just being vulnerable with each other about things we're going through as fathers.
I will be honored to. I've done a couple of those. And again, that's paying it forward. So thank you for even considering me for that. And yes, at the end of the day, being a father will keep me grounded. And as I tell anybody else, no, me and the mother of my child, we're not together. I want to use the word baby mama, the mother of my child. It wouldn't be meant for us to be together. I'm not going to speak bad on her because I have too much integrity, and she's a great mother. She got my daughter, and I say to say this is that I want guys out there who are listening right now. No matter what you're going through with the mother of your child, you didn't make it. Always have integrity. Be a great co-parenter. Because it's bad enough when your child see their mom and dad out together. Don't make it any worse than what it is. Have the respect for each other. Don't do things that's gonna, backfire. So we have an understanding with that. And I just want to make sure that all the fathers out there, single fathers, no matter what your child's love and affection shall always be secured in that matter with integrity.
That's right.
Okay, well, I appreciate you coming on, man, and we're going to continue to follow your career. Matter of fact, when we get off here, I'm going to go watch one of your movies now, you know what I mean, or whatever, because I definitely want to continue to support what you got going on. But I appreciate you giving us the time, because I know you're a very busy man.
Thank you. Y'all busy too, man. Y'all keep elevating and do what y'all doing. And thank you again. And to everybody who's watching this podcast, continue to support these 2 brothers. I support them. And let's see where God take us. God gets the glory and victory is our story.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So y'all have a good night, and everybody, and God bless everybody.
Thank you.
Got the good vibes, got the 1942 pouring in my cup.